So hello everyone. To start off, my name is Luke Lombard and I'm the Junior Executive of Special Programs for the Haskayne Consulting Club. And today the Haskayne Consulting Club is excited to bring you the first ever alumni interview video. This video is going to be the first of our first series, which is going to be titled Steps. And today in this video, we're specifically going to be covering how our past alumni have gotten to where they are today, what they did in university to achieve this, and how they're going to continue to take these steps to do the same things in the future. So for the first off, I'm joined here today with Jarod, and I just want to ask him firstly, tell us a bit about yourself and yeah.
All right, thanks, Luke. So hi, everyone. My name is Jarod. I was, I guess not last now, but I was the president of HCC. And then before that, I was part of the marketing team, the director of HCC. So I was actually one of the people at the very beginning of HCC, I guess 3 years now. And it was just, I think like seven of us just with an idea to make this club. And that was it. It's just 7 executives. And we grew it to what it is now today. So really exciting to be here. Right now, just graduated last May. So it's been a little over 6 months maybe. And I'm currently working with Deloitte at their finance performance practice. So happy to be here.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's great to hear your past involvement with HCC, and especially interesting to hear about how small it was. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself in university? Were there any other clubs that you were a part of? Essentially, what did you do? Did you do any co-op? Did you do any internships? Just cover that part of your life, I suppose.
Sure. So my background as an undergraduate is accounting. In my first year, I took those intro accounting classes, and I thought, you know what? I hate accounting. I hate it so much. So, I mean, I thought like, I might as well keep doing it. I've done the first few courses. It's good background, it's good foundation for me, but at the same time, don't want to do accounting related extracurriculars. I don't want to do that extra stuff regarding accounting in any capacity at all. So I started reaching out to like investment clubs, consulting clubs, like things that aren't accounting related effectively. So my extracurriculars included HCC, it included DeNovo Student Investment Fund, which I think they're still around, is a student investment fund similar to CPMT, but started by 2 neuroscience guys, really cool stuff. And I was also part of the varsity swim team at University of Calgary. So I've been swimming, I was swimming for about 13 years of my life, and I joined varsity. That was another 5 years swimming. So that's kind of who I am and how I got to where I am.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear. And just to slightly elaborate on some of those points a little bit more, do you feel that your involvement in certain extracurriculars, even things like being on the varsity swim team, do you think that what specifically out of those contributed to where you are today, where you work, and more importantly, I think, what you look to do in the future?
That's a good question. Definitely a good question. So I think learning in a classroom environment can only teach you so much. So like those technical accounting / finance rules or those concepts, they can only help you so much outside of school. You might get good marks, but a lot of what work is outside of school is those soft skills, those learning how to work with someone else, learning to take initiative. So for example, like swimming, I learned a lot of self-discipline from that. We were training 20 hours a week kind of thing. So it took a lot of heart, I want to say, to just keep doing that. And sometimes that's what you have to do outside of school and during work, is just keep your head down and know it's going to get better sometime. So that's swimming. Other things like DeNovo, like HCC, that's initiative taking. That's like that entrepreneurial spirit. And it teaches you how to not just do the tasks you're assigned to, but to go above and beyond that and think, okay, what is the next thing? how do I plan from this, from plan A to plan D? How do I get there? So it's really learning to think independently rather than from a set list of tasks or homework.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's great advice for all of our members and everyone else who tunes into this. So, getting into our next big question, I suppose, in your job, what is it really that you do? I think is the base of the question. But not only that, but what are you doing in your job every day that you feel is really promoting you to not only be better at work, but like I said previously, be better at reaching even your future goals?
Okay, so I think we'll start with the first one there. So what do I do at my job currently? So I'm a consultant with the finance performance team at Deloitte. Basically, our function is to serve all needs of the CFO function. So anything that CFO needs to strategize about, to implement, to whatever, that's what our function performs. Currently, I'm part of an ERP design program. So my daily tasks vary from everything and anything, basically. Like you name it, I'll probably be doing it. So as vague as it sounds, it's true. And I wish I could offer more insight. I mean, the examples range from like note taking for a 4-hour working session to creating Excel models. So like it's hard to just pinpoint exactly one thing that you're doing all the time because it doesn't exist. Your day is variable and the project's going to be variable as well. And outside of projects, all those projects are different and the roles assigned to each of those projects are different as well. So it's really hard to say what I do exactly.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah. And then I suppose just building on that, how do you feel that what you're currently doing at Deloitte, do you feel that it's contributing to a future placement for you? And if so, what do you really do through that to essentially make yourself feel, I guess, like you're contributing to your future, your goals?
Also a good question. So I mentioned how I hate accounting. Hate might be a strong word. I dislike it. But part of the cool thing, not cool, but very pragmatic thing about this F&P function at Deloitte is that you're in a consulting role as a consultant, but it allows you to get your CPA designation without the audit module. So like, I've always thought that accounting is a good background to have. It's good business language to be able to understand. So I'm going to go through that process of getting my CPA without audit, without going through risk advisory or something like that. And that's really appealing to me. And it just sets me up to do a plethora of things down the line, which I don't quite know yet. I don't know where the road lies. So I'm just trying to have the biggest base possible to get wherever I want to go in the future.
Yeah, wow, that's a great answer. Great answer to a good question. I'm glad to hear it. And then one of our final questions here, just talking a little bit less about school and about work. Are there things, of course, as a consultant, but also previously as a student and someone who is really involved, that you would tend to do to have a little bit better work-life balance? If so, maybe not specifically what those things are, but I suppose what I'm asking is, how do you find that balance as when you were a student and now that you're an employee, of course?
I think work-life balance as a student versus an employee is completely different, in my opinion. So as a student, I don't think I had that much work-life balance just because of the things I was involved in. They required some extra attention, some overnight hours long before my bedtime. So as a student, I definitely recommend just being much more flexible with your time and your outlook rather than setting standards of, okay, I'm going to turn off my computer, my phone, my homework, my assignments. They're all done by like 9 p.m. Instead of having that outlook, I'd recommend being much more flexible about it. So like, and being much more looser. So say you have an assignment due past 9 p.m. Fine, get it done, rest afterwards. Take what rest you can, whenever you can, wherever you can. And if you can't get it done, it's not the end of the world. You're a student, like GPA is important, but it's not the end of the world. I'm not jumping over hoops for that one. So yeah, take your time. Don't be afraid to take time for yourself. Don't be afraid to bend boundaries where you need to be. But at the same time, as a student, I'd suggest having a goal or having at least a narrative that will help you get to the next level, the next step of like what you want to do. So always be looking forward to something rather than just stagnating somewhere as a student. As an employee, as a consultant especially, I think your hours are so much more variable, but at the same time, you can't just skip it. You can't skip that meeting at the end of the day. Like you could skip class, not saying I skipped class, but yeah, things are much more harder to skip. So abide by your standards. This is where like the turning off everything at 9 p.m. comes back into play as a employee of a company at a firm. Set standards for yourself, set boundaries. I'm not looking at my computer. I'm putting my work phone away after X hours and have frequent breaks. So I'm working from home right now, right? So I go out for a 10-minute run if I have time. I go out to read a book for 5 minutes if I have time. So it's really about taking the luxuries of working from home to full use for right now during COVID.
Yeah, no, for sure. Those are both great points. And I think making that separation between the two is a really good point as well. And just to wrap up today, I sort of have a fifth question. And that's essentially going back to our theme, which is supposed to be steps. And if you had to give advice to some of the students and some of the Haskayne Consulting Club members today, what steps do you think are the most important that they take in order to succeed and in order essentially to get a job at the end of the day and at the end of their time at university?
Steps to take. I think steps to take. So I think the first step is having a very good background and having a flexible background, regardless if you know what you want to do or don't know what you want to do as a future job. So, for example, I have a very diverse background. So I'm a student athlete. I have securities experience. I have compliance experience. I have auditing experience. I have oil and gas experience. So like, it's very diverse. And it doesn't really matter too much of where I want to go unless it's like a complete 180. So I had that background to let me pick and choose down the future if I want to specialize in something. So that's what I would recommend you, the audience, to do, I suppose, is to first take a look at yourself and think, okay, do I know exactly what I want to do? And if you are like me and you don't, which is often the case, just have that take the appropriate steps to immerse yourself in everything and everything, anything and everything. And that way, at least you know what you don't like, right? And then you can start building off the things that you kind of like and go from there. The next step after that is to be genuine and authentic, I think. A lot of the times you'll find someone applying to a role in which that they're not interested. It's a job, they want the job. That's fair enough, which is like, yeah, everyone wants a job, and it's I can't discredit that at all. But the people who hire you will always look for someone who's genuinely passionate about the role, the team, the industry, whatever it is. They want someone who's actually at least slightly interested in what they're applying for. So at least have some semblance of yourself and where you want to go. And use that self-recognition, that self-awareness to apply to jobs that you want, and be authentic about it. So I think that is the best way in terms of getting a job that you value and where people value you back.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, those are two great pieces of advice. And yeah, that wraps up all the questions that I had for you today. It was super great to hear all your feedback on what we wanted answered. And thanks so much just for taking the time today.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Thanks.